You have such a great talent for music. You're a DJ, but you also have this sort of like new dance pop single out right now, StarStruck. How do you describe the music that you make?
Honestly, I don't know exactly how to describe it because I don't think it fits in a specific category. I mean, you could say it's like electronic, right? But then it's not really house or techno, or then you could also say like it's like pop, but it's not really because it's like indie and experimental, like in a certain way. But it's also not too experimental, right? So it's like a hybrid. I feel like it has its own personality and signature, and I would describe it just as um, um, electronic music in general. I mean, my influences are Kraftwerk, Depeche Mode, New Order. So I think it has a little bit of that alongside with my own vibe and soul. But I would say synth pop, electro pop.
StarStruck has this sci-fi fantasy sort of behind it that blends different genres of music. Where did the concept for it come from?
Well, I've always been a big fan of sci-fi myself. I love sci-fi movies, sci-fi video games, and music. One of my dreams is to do the score for a sci-fi film, and this is connected to my love of for synthesizers. I'm a huge synthesizer lover. That's what defines my sound. All these vintage 80s synthesizers that I use to craft my sound, and I use them in all of my songs. So it's like part sci-fi has always been part of me as a musician and as a person. So with Starstruck, I wanted to tell a sci-fi story and give it a strong message, not necessarily hidden underneath, but like low key to let this sci-fi fantasy shine, but also accompanying it by a nice message to the people who are listening to it, and once they understand the context behind it.
What kind of response have you been receiving to your fans to Starstruck?
They're liking it a lot. They think it feels fresh. They think it's a good step in the right direction. They like the music video, and once they learned about the message and the story behind the song, which is connected to my struggle as a trans woman. Because Starstruck talks about an alien that comes down to Earth and finds this girl in a club and wants to take her away from Earth and save her, right? And she's like, I don't need salvation. I'm totally fine. Just let me dance. And this is part of my journey as a trans person, where I've been constantly being told that I'm wrong, that I need to be saved, either through religion or any other social constructs. And I started realizing that I'm not wrong. I'm just being who I am, being myself, and I don't need to be saved. I just need to, let me be me and peacefully, and you be you, but let me dance. That's pretty much.
Is Space Val then inner Valentina?
Yeah, exactly. That's like an alter ego that started. You could say recently, all these singles have been interconnected with each other: Star Love, Starduck, and now Starstruck. And even since my early days, 4 years ago, no, 6 years ago, when I released Wanted Space Girl, an EP, I've always been drawn to these sci-fi and space narratives. And Spaceball is a character that it's, of course, me, and it's my alter ego that lives in space. And hopefully, one of my dreams is to do a comic book out of it. So,
He's so
yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
Okay, we talked about Starstruck and Star Love and the other songs. Is this a start maybe to prelude to a full album or another EP you were working on?
I think so. Every time I craft, I do have a whole narrative and a whole concept behind it.
Mhm.
And sometimes I have like the song 10 songs ready. But in these days, and for an indie artist like me, and I'm a very small artist, it's hard to just put out an album out there. sometimes, even though as an artist, I'm like, I want to share this with the world, but then the business side of me is like, well, you have to put it out there as singles because that's how the industry works
Yeah.
now. And sometimes it's sad. It doesn't prevent me from creating a narrative or creating an album, because
Right.
eventually the album will exist sooner or later. But maybe for the fans that they want more, they have to wait a little bit until I put out the next single, and it's step by step. In that sense, I have two albums. One is Technopop One, and the second one is Technopop Two. And this is StarStruck is part of the third album, which is it's part of this sci-fi narrative, and I can tell you that there is already more songs that are ready to be released, but I'm just letting Starstruck breathe and slowly release them in throughout the year.
Do you have some upcoming live performances for Starstruck?
Not at the time, but if there is any, I'll keep my fans posted on my socials, and hopefully there is one in the horizon.
Where did the concept to launch this new label, Cyber Fetish, come along? I think that's such a great idea for you and a great way to launch wonderfully new upcoming artists.
Thank you. I believe so as well. The idea is to give a voice to artists like me that they have a struggle to find a company or a label that want to put their music out there. Of course, the idea of Cyber Fetish is to put out good quality music. You know, we're not gonna just put out music just for the sake of putting it out, but the focus is totally to give a voice to the people that don't have a voice. And this comes from my experience. You know, when I started, I was looking for a lot of options to release my music, because but no one wanted my songs. No one wanted to be related to a trans artist. I'm talking about 7 years ago. You know, I feel like society is open, it's slowly getting more open and more cool with it. But 7 years ago, it was a whole different story.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of trans artists out there. There wasn't a Kim Petras, you know, established already. There was still struggles for artists like me and LGBT artists in general. So I had a rough time in Mexico. No one wanted my music. No one wanted to support me. So I had to create my own label, Rex Records, to put my stuff out there. And now with Cyber Fetish, I want to support other artists, and I want to give voice to other artists and other music genres as well. This is not a label that it's only for LGBT people. This is for everyone, for all humans.
Well
And
said.
yeah, and different genres that sometimes they're not commercial enough for other companies to be considered. But here we want to create a community, yeah, that is strong because of what we believe in music, and not because of what can sell the most.
Who would you love to share the stage with in the future?
Well, I would love to share it with Peaches. I think it would be cool, uh, considering that we're both like fighting for the same thing, which is self-love, acceptance, and uh, you know, freedom of speech. I would also love to share the stage with, of course, Kraftwerk, the Pitch Mode, Pet Shop Boys. You know, it's good to dream and aim high. You never know.
Amen.
Um, yeah.
What would you like to say then, Valentina, to everyone who are fans and supporters of the incredible music you keep putting out and the voices you give a voice to?
I would like to tell them first, thank you. Uh, Even though I am a very small artist, I know there are some people out there that connect with my music and like my music, and I'm very thankful to all of them. I would just ask for them to keep sharing, you know, like my music, share it, listen to it. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps me a lot. And also listen to other indie artists, because we're all struggling. It's not easy. Sometimes, you know, people just listen to a song and they move on with their lives, and that's totally fine, because at the end it's entertainment. But sometimes they don't know what's behind all the stress, the sweat, the fear, the blood, the frustration. And sometimes it's even hard to be able to pay rent and have a meal, groceries. it's something so basic that sometimes people forget that a lot of us that are in this business, we struggle. We sometimes we don't get to have a full fridge every month.
Yeah.
And so we're very grateful, and I'm very grateful every time someone shares a story with my song, or sends me a message saying, wow, I love your song, because that keeps me motivated to keep creating.